Bit of a slow start today, sorry guys, but let's get going. Welcome. This is the Lead Generation Masterclass, Tuesday the 19th of March. How the kind of year is flying past so quickly already. It's amazing. Um, we're coming up to the end of the Masterclass series. This is week 12 of 13. We'll do another session next week, which will be looking at strategic partnerships and how to grow that out. Today's kind of focus kind of ties in with what we were looking at last week around kind of scheduling, time management. We looked at Calendly in quite a bit of detail last week and how that can be used. We'll look at outsourcing today in a bit of detail, pros and cons. We'll also look at lead nurturing, and just to frame it, I'll do a quick intro which will show you kind of where this all fits in with what we're doing. Okay, so for those of you who are tuning into the live stream for the first time, just a quick intro. So my name's Alex Smith. I'm the founder of Leadith. Leadith is a powerful kind of LinkedIn lead generation software tool. I've been kind of in the business for about 10 years, 10 years in experience working with LinkedIn marketing. In the last 3 years, I've been focused on my efforts at Leadith. I worked with over 150 different businesses in various different industries to develop effective strategies for generating leads, building connections on LinkedIn. So today it's going to all a bit of insight, some top tips. We're looking at how you can scale up your lead generation. We're going to do a deep dive into the tools and software that I'm using at Leadith. We'll also look at different best practices, things that you can apply. You don't need the tools that I provide. You can do it all manually, but we'll go through some of the theory as well. So where does this all fit in with what we're doing? You may have come across this before. This is the classic marketing funnel, I guess. And it's a model that describes the customer journey from their very first touch point to the purchase, right at the bottom there and beyond. And it's called a funnel because a bit like water flows through a funnel, it's got a lot of different stages where that water can escape out of. So when we think about this, in the top, that's your business awareness. It's making people aware of your brand or your product, your service. Once they're aware of what you do and they move down this funnel into the interest stage, and that interest stage is where they start to learn a little bit more about what your solution can do. They then move into this consider stage where they're thinking, weighing up their options, comparing you to competitors. And then we look at the purchase stage, which is when they make that decision to purchase from you, and then you've got to retain them as a loyal client. This has been kind of modernized into a bit of a wheel diagram. This is called the flywheel model, a much newer marketing model, and it emphasizes the ongoing relationship with the customer rather than just that initial sale, job done. It's called a flywheel because, like in a flywheel in a machine, it gains momentum and becomes very much self-sustaining over a time. So the stages in the flywheel, again, we've got that attract stage at the top there. That drives people into engage. So interacting with them, I guess it's very much similar to that kind of consider phase from the interest and consider phase. We delight clients, build up some, exceed their expectations ultimately to provide them with a fantastic experience. And then the goal is that they become advocates, they become loyal fans and spread the word about your brand, your product and services to other people, which then drives them into this whole circle. So the cycle kicks off again. So at Leadith, we've come up with a kind of 6-step roadmap, and this is the journey we take clients on. So right at the bottom, often we find people struggling to generate any sales on LinkedIn, and that's where Leadith helps, because we help people to generate more sales through LinkedIn and also get back more time in their calendar, and that's through automation and leverage. So step 1 is all about understanding the target audience. Who is it that we need to be sending a message to? Step 2 is making sure that your personal LinkedIn profile is primed and ready to go. tailoring that profile to make sure it speaks to the audience that we've identified with clarity. Things like professional header graphics, headshots, a really good copy line that says what you do in as fewer words as possible is really great, and that's going to make a huge impact early doors. Every sale, it takes multiple touch points. No one ever, clicks on the button and wants to buy now straight away. If you've achieved that, fantastic. Some people, go down the line of creating waiting lists, and that's really great. If you've built up the reputation and you're so busy, and then you can start to have a waiting list for people wanting to use your services, that works really effectively as well. But we're talking about, people coming to you, once they buy from you, that's what it's all about. We want people to kind of grow that, and then want your business to grow as well. So you can get to a stage where you can say, right, I've now got a waiting list. I now can start to choose my clients, and that's a very fortunate position to be in. But you've got to build it up to that. So LinkedIn outreach automation is about pushing out those outbound messages. We use a multi-channel system, which hopefully we can demonstrate today a little bit, using LinkedIn campaigns to first-degree connections, so people you're already connected to for some time. Second-degree campaign connections, where we're reaching out to new prospects, so those people that we identified in stage one that we target, those target audience. We're building relationships with these guys. Heavily leveraging AI in this whole process, because we feel that that just adds value, and the more personalized it is, the better the results is often what we find. Stage 4 is email outreach. It's very similar to kind of what we're doing with LinkedIn, but just moving the conversation to another platform, another channel. Most people kind of, you do tend to get spamming messages on LinkedIn through InMail and stuff like that. But when it comes to email, often it's much more regarded as that's a safer place where you can be pitching and can be marketing and selling. Whereas LinkedIn, often people get a bit phased if you go straight in with a straight to the point salesy type message. So LinkedIn is very much relationship building. Email is really good for doing the selling bit, is what I find. Stage 5, we look at video content marketing. I mean, it's not just video, but any type of marketing you're doing. So creating some sort of content that you can put out there on a platform like LinkedIn to gain awareness, gain interest, get people enthused about what you're doing, set you apart as a bit of a thought leader in your industry. And then stage 6, kind of, which is where the last couple of weeks have picked up on, we've been looking at appointment setting, how to effectively kind of have a calendar to kind of drive appointments into your diary. And it's all to do with the efficiencies of having systems in place that are really going to speak volumes to what we're doing. I'm just mindful I haven't shared the screen on the live stream, so I'll just share that for those that are tuning in on that one. Great. Quick stat for you as we go into explore kind of outsourcing. 37% of businesses outsource their lead generation activities. So it's a kind of a fairly substantial number. Over a third of companies outsource their lead gen. According to a report by Deloitte, 59% of companies, the reason why the reason why people do that out of those 37 is to cut costs. So 59% of the reasons is to cut costs. And another main kind of reason why people outsource is also to focus on core business functions. Often when you're caught up in doing the lead gen all yourself, it can be very much a distraction, and you can quite easily switch off from your main focus. So I guess that's why a lot of companies look to outsourcing their lead gen. So when it comes to kind of generating leads for your business, outsourcing can actually be a really effective way to kind of free up your time and certainly your resources, allowing you to really focus on what you want to do with your business. But obviously deciding on that outsource, whether to outsource it or not, can be a difficult decision in business. And obviously if you're new to it, you've never done it, never scaled a business, there's lots of different various options that you need to consider, and they all have their different pros and cons. So we're going to look at some of the pros and cons for outsourcing your lead gen. What are your options? So your options are you could hire a virtual assistant to do some of the work for you. You can look to get a lead generation agency, a little bit like Leadith, and explore what the advantages and disadvantages are of each of these. Let's do that now. So, pros and cons for hiring a virtual assistant. VAs, as they're known as, or remote interns, whatever you want to call them, someone who can kind of support your business remotely. They're doing it from home, so they've got their own equipment quite often. The costs are going to be much cheaper. So much cheaper than you hiring someone in house, because you don't need to provide them with the office, the tools, or anything like that. They're up and running, ready to go. VAs are also pretty flexible, because they can work on an hourly basis. So you can employ them for as long as or as short as a period as you need for a specific project. So a very nice option to kind of get you started in terms of leverage and getting back some of your time. They also work outside of regular business hours often, which allows you to cover more time zones. So if you're looking international and you've got someone who can work the times that you're not awake, potentially your scope is greater. Specialized skills. So you can also hire a virtual assistant with specific skills. So they might have specific experience in terms of lead gen. And that's going to save you time and money in having to, maybe train someone else. If they've got the skills and they're ready to go, that is a really good benefit. But there are some cons. Obviously, working with a VA, especially around lead generation, things like communication could be a challenge. If you're working with a VA who's, in a different time zone or maybe a different native language, potentially that's a barrier there. Potentially a lack of control. If your VA is working remotely, it's going to be much harder to manage their workload and ensure that they're meeting the expectations that you set out. Dependence, so they could be very kind of dependent on you. So you might be left with gaps in terms of your lead gen process if they disappear. If they go off and do something else, there could be a big gap there, and that gap could cost you whilst you find replacements and things like that. So there's some of the pros and cons of VAs. You've got another option, which is to look at maybe a freelance lead gen specialist. So this is someone, a professional who's going to specialize in finding potential customers or even businesses and organizations. They can work on a project basis, usually for a set fee. They use a variety of tactics to identify and reach out to those leads. They might be an expert in particular email marketing, for example. The role of the freelance lead generation specialist typically would include researching your potential customers. They would look at building and maintaining what we call lead lists, lists of prospects. They would develop the outreach campaign, so they get to kind of work with you much closer and understand what your goals are, and then ideally follow up with all those leads to generate interest and convert them into customers. So you can get people that take just a segment of that journey, or they'll do the whole thing for you. And obviously, there's a varying cost involved there. As I say, very skilled. Some of them have got very good social selling skills. Some might be better on cold calls and using other methods as well. One of the main advantages of working with a freelance lead gen specialist is going to be that they can provide you a much more targeted and focused approach. Often they're working with less clients, so they're not. So they're much more focused on your organization. But again, a potential disadvantage of working with these types of people is that they might not have a real, truly deep understanding of your specific business or industry. So it could be they might be a bit more general, and that could be a disadvantage. Additionally, their availability and level of commitment may vary. If they've got another client that they're serving as well, that could also affect them as well. So the kind of final option you've got in terms of outsourcing your lead generation is maybe look at an agency. So obviously, the pros on an agency side is you've got the expertise here. You've got agencies that are very specialized in generating leads. They've got a team of experts who are trained using the latest strategies and techniques. It's pretty scalable because a lead gen agency can quite quickly scale up and down depending on your needs, allowing you to generate as many as you want, when you need them. So it's very cost effective as well, because it's much cheaper than you having to train your own in-house team. They've kind of got the skills. Often the agencies will be very much results driven. A reputable lead gen agency will focus on delivering results for your business, and with accountability and regular reporting as well to make sure you see that. Some of the cons with the lead gen agency. So you might think about lack of control. Working with a lead gen agency, you're going to have less control over that lead generation process. With what we do at Leadith, we give you full access to all the campaigns, so you have full control over those, over the number of campaigns we build and the messages that you're putting out. So with our kind of done with you program, you're in the driving seat. Often with lead gen agencies, there might be a lack of familiarity with your business, especially if you're in a niche area. Not many other agencies kind of work in that area. That could impact the effectiveness of your campaign. There's potential for misalignment. If there's a misalignment in goals or expectations or communication between your business and the agency, often that can resolve in a less effective campaign potentially. And there's also contractual obligations. Some of these agencies will tie you into a contract for, it could be 12 months, and it could be, a great expense. So there's a huge amount of commitment there. So that could be a huge disadvantage if you're working with an agency as well. So kind of moving on to kind of a little bit more about kind of nurturing those leads. Once we've kind of got the leads, that's kind of one of the two biggest things in business, any business, is to get customers. Once you've mastered how you can get customers, you are kind of on your road to success, and you can apply that to any business model. You've got to work out how you can get those customers. The second most important thing is to nurture them and keep them, because obviously an existing client is probably, I think the figure is something like 5 times the value of going out and finding a new client. So it's important to be nurturing those clients. So the next step is to nurture them. Once they've entered your sales funnel, they've gone down, we need to nurture them. This is where a lot of businesses fail. They don't have the enough touch points, and often they just haven't got a nurturing process with those prospects and leads. So the nurturing process is all about building the relationship, and it does take time. Providing them with valuable information, resources, things like lead magnets are great. Effectively, when you nurture them, you're helping them to develop a really deep understanding of kind of what you do and how you do it. And then with that, you can create this targeted content that's going to really speak to them personally. So having lots of different case studies that work for different niches or different industries works really well, because it's obviously going to resonate with them if it's in the same industry. The follow-up process is critical. So think about the follow-up process. Research has shown that 80% of sales require 5 or more interactions, but so many businesses just give up after maybe 1 or 2 attempts. So many of my clients have campaigns running. They'll have a connection message, and they'll follow up maybe a few days later with a DM, and that's it. The conversation goes dead there. So they've just gone out their way to get connected to people. They've sent a follow-up message, and that's it. The conversation goes flat. I've had campaigns where it takes 7, maybe 8 messages, DMs with people before I even get a reply with them, and then that reply is just super positive, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, I ignored you for 8 messages. I'm actually really interested in this. Can we book a meeting?" And it does happen. It happens every month. I get a message like that on the system. So think about those touch points. If you can mix up the touch points, so if it's a LinkedIn message, an email, a LinkedIn message, and maybe a phone call, that will really surprise people. If you can get on the phone, I'm not a big fan of getting on the phone. It's a bit of a nemesis for me, but certainly that will increase the chances of getting some better conversions for yourself. So lead nurturing, some quick takeaways to help you with this whole lead nurture process, and then whether you're kind of looking to outsource this and get somebody else to do this, you'll have to kind of create a plan, work out what bits you do, what bits they do. So having a clear plan is the key here. This will help you to kind of outline different types of maybe content that you're going to produce, the channels that you're going to use to distribute that content, and the frequency, how often you're going to put this content out there. So think about that. Use marketing automation tools. There's so many great tools now. Software has come on leaps and bounds over the ages. We've also got the added benefit of AI these days. So it's super easy to personalize your follow-up communications to address the specific needs and interests of your leads. Consider using different channels. Phone, as I say, is great. If you can pop a phone call in that sequence, it's really going to help you out. And we need to monitor the lead engagement, and we need to see, how much response we're getting from those from that media. So it's all about testing and measuring. So some quick takeaways there, just to remind yourself to, how can you implement this? How can you implement personalization in every, communication piece with them? So how we go about doing it on the Leadif system, I'm just going to kind of delve into a bit of a demo, really. So this is the platform. It's called an SEP now. It basically stands for Sales Engagement Platform. Just going to share this window with you. Hopefully you can see this. This is the back end of the kind of the Leadif system. So this is where we can build out campaigns of various sorts and automate the process of connecting you with your target clients. So just an example of a few simple campaigns that I've been running recently. I've been doing a bit of market research around my target audience to potentially look at maybe building a new product, finding what my audience actually want and their challenges. So I created a quick survey, 10 questions, used SurveyMonkey. It's now got this AI feature which creates the whole survey for you, which is really nice. Give it a paragraph and say, you're looking to create a survey to probe this market, and boom, the survey's created. So I've now created a campaign within Leadif, which is targeting that audience in my network. And you can see some of the messages here. This is where I find the people. So we bring in a search. That is a LinkedIn URL pointing to people that are connected to me on LinkedIn. There's probably about 1,000 people or more. Probably I think it's about 800 or so in that list. And then it kicks off here. Step one. This operates between predefined hours. And step one is hi, first name, shaping a new service for B2B coaches, consultants, and value your insight. Could you spare a moment for a quick survey to help shape it? And a link to the survey is thrown in there. So that's basically it. But what we've also got is this AI element, and this is where we access their LinkedIn profile to super hyper personalize this outreach message. We can also include a approval process as well. So if you're not sure about the content of what AI is putting in, you can actually approve every single message if you want. But I tend to be a bit more risk adverse and push out. If there's a few hallucinations generated by the AI, then so be it. And I'll just apologize to the person if they say what you're going on about. It doesn't make any sense. I just tend to go and say, oh, sorry, I'm using AI to generate it, and come clean, and and the conversation still stays alive quite often. So that's the first message, and then often we can then enrich their profile. So we use a data credit to find their email address. Once we've got their email address, we can then send an email. An email is very similar in terms of kind of what it's all about. This is an email just really targeted at trying to get them to fill out a survey. I'm not collecting name, email address on the survey. Potentially, you could use this as a bit of a lead magnet if you were trying to drive people towards a goal. But for me, this was a research exercise, just to put a survey out there and get. I wanted to get at least 25 people to complete the survey. I think I'm at. I only launched it last week, and about 14 responses have been received so far on that, which is fantastic. So yeah, that's how the campaigns work. And then maybe a profile view. So if you've got their LinkedIn profile, we can now view their profile, automate the liking of 3 posts. So that is what we call leverage. We're getting the system to do it all for us. And it's fantastic. So on the output, all we're doing is going into an inbox. I could actually go to campaigns and show you the sort of stuff that we get. So these are all people that have expressed maybe some sort of reply to my campaign at some stage. And you can see that the messages go out. They're personalised with their name, and just asking them to fill out the quick survey. You can see how the AI has kind of switched up my message slightly. So every message will be very different. So we can go down to the next one. You'll see you'll get a slightly different message maybe to this one. Working on a new business model. Appreciate your input. Yeah. So the message is it's the same kind of sentiment, but it's using the AI to make it very different. And then like the emails as well, if they've this one hasn't got an email yet, but you can go down and have a look at some of the emails that are going out as well. Here we go. So you can see the email that's gone out. Again, you can use AI. It's pulling off their position. It's also pulling in their company name to make it appear super personalized. We've got the email, the link to the survey, and then we've also got their input could be great in shaping the business. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So that's how we do it. And if you've got the approval process turned on here, basically you get a little task. It'll sit here in the dashboard. So I've got one coming up here, and we can go in to tweak this message. So it uses AI to kind of put a template together, and you can then just tweak that template, and then you can save the template and click approve, and then that will go off to them. So this is where I'm kind of validating some of the messages myself. So there's a little super quick snippet in terms of how we go about automating the outreach. I think it's almost 10 o'clock. Gosh, it's been a super fast session today. I normally do a bit about the numbers. So looking at the stats and what's possible in terms of the numbers for you. I'll come back to that maybe next week. We're doing a bit on next week is all about strategic partnerships, how you can look to build up a referral network around what you're doing, having strategic partners that can recommend your services to other people. And Leadith is a great tool for doing that if you're looking to kind of grow that strategic partnership network. Any questions at all from anyone in the live session today? No questions. It's all good. So yeah, thanks very much. It's been a pleasure to showcase you some of the stuff we're doing at Leadith. And yeah, if you're interested in learning a little bit more, do head over to our website. It's leadith.io. And on the website, you can see we've got a button that says Learn. You can click on that button and go down to Masterclass. That will give you a bit more information about our Masterclass series. Hello, Jack. Well, good, thank you. We've also got the school community. So hit the Leadith school community. That will take you to a community that looks a little bit like this. I'll just share it with you so you can see super quickly. We've got over 200 members in the community now. That's where we're sharing ideas around lead generation. Seeing where people are at and supporting them, really. There's also a classroom within here where you can learn from previous lead gen masterclasses. So you can access all that content. It's all there free of charge. You can also access some of the courses here. Stage 1 and 2 are, I think, free. So support around improving your personal brand on LinkedIn. And then we've got some other courses which you might be interested in as well. It'd be great if you joined the community. That's leadith.io/school, SKOOL, if that's of interest to you. Great. So I'm going to say goodbye for now because I've got a 10 o'clock meeting, and hopefully you found some value from today's session. Thanks, Martin. Thanks, Jack.